strong point, which is military power. China has the grip. China has the grip, and in this case, United States need cooperation with China to build up military power against China. So under such kind of situation, just a tariff is not a practical method to deal with China. China's way is more sophisticated, and the United States need to improve their method to deal with China. And just now, the United States need to solve the other issue in the Middle East and Europe. So that's why the U.S. cannot share the enough time to deal with China. So timing is very bad for the United States. That's why China start this competition, this time restrict exporting rare earths more severely. That is starting point, and the U.S. retaliate. But at the same time, U.S. realize this kind of the rising tariff is not enough to deal with China. So that's why the one kind of the ceasefire is needed just now. But so that is the current situation. So in the long run, of course, the U.S. need to compete with China, but just now, they should stop this competition temporarily.
Indeed, as you've pointed out, China does seem to be standing up to the United States. In fact, we've recently seen some rather strongly worded statements come out from Beijing. Beijing has accused Washington of engaging in a unilateral bullying. But speaking about the United States itself, we are seeing a government shutdown in the U.S. Experts are warning that with the government shutdown, the United States economy could head to a recession. At the same time, we're also seeing the impact of these tariffs are resulting in increased prices of commodities for consumers, which would result in sort of a double whammy of both inflation and recession. Can the U.S. really afford to continue its trade war with China in such a context?
Yes, that is very bad timing for the United States, and China is exploiting this timing to make a pressure to the United States, I think, because China carefully checks the U.S. move, because they know that this competition is a very important competition. The fate of China rely on this competition. So that's why China carefully checks the situation. If U.S. shows some weakness, of course China try to exploit it. So that's why the U.S. need to compete, but China is fighting well. But at the same time, anyway, the U.S. power is bigger than China as a total power. So that's why, of course, in the near future, the time will come for the United States to make more bigger pressure to take the initiative in the negotiation with China. That could happen. But just now, China has the advantage, and that is the reason the Trump administration do not want to escalate the U.S.-China competition just now, I think.
Indeed, I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking some further updates. The head of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, has now expressed hope that a resolution can be reached to ease the ongoing trade tensions between the United States and China. Speaking at her final press conference during the IMF and World Bank semi-annual meeting in Washington, Georgieva has stated that she remains optimistic that both sides will find a path to agreement. She's emphasized that U.S.-China trade dispute, which has had significant effects on global economic growth, needs to be addressed in order to avoid further disruption to the global economy. Her comments come as financial leaders continue to discuss ways to stabilize international trade and support growth. Take a look.
We do hope that there would be an agreement that would bring the current tension down. We will, of course, carefully calculate the impact should that become necessary. You probably recall in the World Economic Outlook, we do project a downside scenario, and while it is not calculated on that specific risk, what it illustrates is just about what the likely impact of this kind of deterioration would be. it would be a material impact on global growth. But again, I want to stress that my expectation is to see that the path to agreement will be found, especially judging by the atmosphere we have witnessed in the room.
Still with us on the broadcast is Dr. Nagao. We've heard what the IMF chief has had to say, but in the meantime, we're also seeing, China imposing sanctions on U.S. affiliates of South Korean shipbuilder Hanwha Ocean as well. What sort of concerns do you have sitting in Tokyo? How would then Japan also be impacted by this? Because we're already seeing now South Korea being sandwiched between China and the United States. Its priorities now taking a dent as well with this sort of trade war continuing. How do you think Japan is likely to be impacted?
Trump administration's rising tariff policy is directly linked with the changing rule of the global free trade. Because under the current global free trade rule, China is catching up to the United States, and this is dangerous for the United States to maintain their #1 status in the world. So that's why the rule itself that they try to change. It looks like in the past, that's playing sports is football, but now they need to change from football to the American football. Something like that is what is happening. So rising tariff and trade should be restricted under the rule of the international trade. So global free trade, no war is better, no tariff is better, but that is not a new rule in the international trade. That is the Trump administration direction to deal with China. So that's why the view from IMF, of course, the view from many countries which rely on the global free trade, including South Korea or including Japan or other countries, of course, the changing rule itself is not beneficial on surface. But at the same time, without changing the rules, China is catching up with the United States, and they will be the #1 status. That is not comfortable for Japan and South Korea or the other country, or the US side country. So that's why even if economically this is not beneficial, view from security this is beneficial. That is a little bit ironical situation, controversial situation for both of Japan and South Korea, I think.
Indeed, sir. Requesting you to stay on with us as we track some further crucial updates. We're now learning that Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has met with